We're bound to repair relationships that are important to us often. So if we can get good at it and have effective repair, then we're going to have better and better relationships. And that's where families get in trouble, is when something happens and they don't know how to repair, they're afraid to repair, they don't repair well, we get a lumpy rug. And so everybody is constantly tripping over the lumpy rug. And they get to where many families, I've noticed, many families have so many lumpy rugs, they just keep pushing things down because they're afraid to confront.
Hey everybody, welcome to season 2 of the 10,000 Minute Podcast.
We made it.
And we made it. We made it. We've had many people saying, hey, where's season 2? Did we miss it?
Yeah.
We just wanted you guys to build up anticipation.
Yeah, you want it. People have wanted it.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah.
I learned that on Sesame Street.
We're doing this for you. We're doing this for you.
They taught that in Sesame Street?
They did with Tom Holland.
Tom Holland? How long
No,
have you
not
been
Tom
watching
Holland.
Sesame Street?
No, wait. Tom Hiddleston.
It's like,
What?
either way.
The wrong one.
Like Loki?
Yeah, Loki.
Totally.
Which is why I watched Sesame Street. Anyways, but yes, he taught about delayed gratification.
Are you 8 years old? That is
Hey,
amazing.
thank
Yeah.
you. It's the lotions. No.
You look great.
But anyways, proceed.
What are we talking about?
Season 2. Let's go.
2. Okay, season 2, everybody. So today, hoy, that's in Spanish.
Sure.
I'm kind of bilingual.
Feels more Italian.
It's the way he said
Hoy.
it. Yeah,
I
oi.
don't know.
Okay, so today, hoy, or whenever you're listening to this, or watching this is tonight, this morning. If you're running, if you're walking, keep your eyes open. Don't close your eyes as you laugh.
1 year to the right.
But so we have my mom again on. So she was kind of a highlight from last season.
Yeah.
She talked about grief, and we all still talk about her podcast and the things she shared. So this time, I said, Mom, what do you want to share with our people this time? So she said that she's been taking groups. She's a therapist, a shrink, if you will. No? She's a therapist, and she takes groups through things, and she's been taking groups through this book that Gary Chapman did on the 5 love languages, but now it's a different book on the 5 apology languages, something like that. And there's a little piece of paper, which I can't show you because we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. So you gotta
Anyways,
check
you
out the show
guys,
notes.
this is really good.
Yes.
Very good. One,
Important conversation.
experiencing regret. 2, accepting responsibility. Right?
Yeah, and we're
3.
writing songs this whole time.
I think there's
We're
something.
dreaming
I'm
big
saying there's
this
something to
season.
this.
Yeah.
Restitution, a minute. Yeah, it's gonna work out. I'm working to.
Yeah, what rhymes with restitution and
It's gonna be great.
Okay. Well, I apologize to you who are listening
Yes.
for Chris.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, so there
I
are
didn't seem sincere, Tim.
That's so true. It was not. It was totally insincere. But you can make amends in my restitution.
It's gonna be great.
So
We may need a little more work here.
yeah. Okay, so check it out, and we'll learn stuff after this.
Hey everyone, this is Moy. Each episode we're going to hear from listeners about the impact that practices like this one from episode 1, Jesus, You Have My Attention, have had in their life.
I love the 10,000 Minutes podcast and these simple practices that y'all share, like, Jesus, you have my attention. I've said that phrase, I can't even tell you how many times the past few years, and it's been so helpful because in the good times and the bad, I want to have my antenna up for what God is doing. So, Jesus, you have my attention. When I say that, it just puts me into a really good headspace. So, thank you all so much for the work that you do. It has made a significant impact in my life.
If you found this bit or any other practice helpful, let us know by emailing mail@10,000minutes.com, and we might include your story in a future episode.
Okay, everybody.
No.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 10,000 Minute Podcast. This is Tim Timmons. We've got Christopher Cleveland,
That's right. Say your whole name. Your mother's here.
Timothy Howard Timmons.
No, please don't do full names.
Okay. Yeah.
Just you.
Emoy Dornice.
Yeah, that's me.
Iram.
Oh, gosh.
And then today we've got special guest Carol Timmons.
The specialist
So this
guest.
is her, everybody. And you've heard her before because she has like one of the most listened to podcasts of
Yes.
ours.
Yes.
It's the one I've listened to
Top.
the most.
Probably the most shared podcast was yours, Mom.
Yes.
So, just enjoy the fame of that. And people have been ranting your name everywhere. But before we got into this, we were just sitting here and I just said, I'm hot, but I don't mean that I'm bragging everybody. That's not what I'm going for. I always run hot. And Chris said, that's an age thing. And I'm going to say I'm in my 20s right now.
You look great. Your beard looks thinner.
Bro, I just trimmed it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I did it because we did an Instagram Live.
Yes.
The other day. We've been doing them on Fridays, so if you guys want to jump in, it's very fun. But I got a lot of grief for how gnarly my beard was. Maybe it was my own grief.
I was gonna say they
You're
weren't coming
projecting on
at
yourself.
you, but they
No.
were asking when
Yeah.
these videos were gonna come out and
Yeah.
when were you gonna,
So
take care of it.
Your mom did say let your hair grow last podcast, so
Not that
I
year.
don't want to bring anything up, but
On top of his head.
Yes.
So the last podcast, everybody, I think we've referred to it a few times. What'd she say? I said, what is something you want to change about me? Is that,
something like that. I can't remember, but it was gold.
And I said, let your hair grow.
let your hair grow.
So that's all you were
I
trying to
meant
do.
on top of your head.
But you don't remember that moment well, so you're like, have hair on your head. And
Yeah.
she said something like, let the hair that you have grow.
Yeah.
But you read it like
Yeah, it hurt. It just straight up hurt.
words she did not say.
Oh, this is
Anyways.
going to be a
So
great
that's why
segue.
we're doing the 5 languages of apology
That's
today.
why we're doing that today.
Right.
Mom. So this is Carol Timmons. And Mom, I was hot as a kid.
You
Right?
were.
'Cause I'd go down to the neighbor's house and I'd sweat.
Every minute you were sweating.
Thank you.
You were always hot.
Thank you. That's what I've tried to tell everybody in the world. I've always been hot.
Okay.
And you were trying to blame it on age, Chris, but it's not just an age thing. I'm in my 20s.
I wondered if there was a male equivalent. You know,
Of what?
like as women get older, they tend to run a little hotter.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
wonder
boy.
if
Yeah.
as
Oh,
men
boy.
get older, if they tend to run a little hotter as well. You know what I mean?
So that's going to be what we're talking about today. Menopause or menopause. So
Oh my
I don't know.
goodness.
does this feel right?
Sigh,
I could be way wrong.
sigh.
So everybody, my mom is here in the Nashville, Tennessee, in the Franklin to be specific. And again, from California, we say the in front of everything. So the Franklin or the 605, the mom. So anywho, but I said, Mom, if you're here, because it's my daughter's birthday and you were here hanging out with
Yes.
her, she's 15, she's driving.
Is that what happens at 15 here?
Yeah, you guys, my daughter got her driver's permit.
Does it happen at 15?
Well, it doesn't just happen. You got to take a test.
But at 15. In
Yeah.
Oklahoma, it's 15 and a half.
Yeah, it's California too.
But,
Oh.
but in
Here-
Tennessee, it's
yeah, we don't care.
straight up 15.
On the birthday.
Yeah.
15.
Reckless.
Oh yeah, we were
Yeah.
there. We were
Actually,
there.
that freaks me out a little bit because I'm like, oh, we're 6 months closer.
Yeah.
Oh
You just
my
you just
goodness.
made my whole life jump 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Oh, my
exactly.
goodness.
So that's happening. And
Okay.
she's gonna be
I've
great.
got a little time to prepare. You don't. You're in it. Sorry.
I did tell her, and I confessed this to my mom last night, that I told her, hey babe, I'm going to teach you how to drive like you're supposed to, like you're going to be on the test. And I said, this is one area in life that I'm going to say, don't watch what I do. Don't, just do
Okay.
what I say.
Okay.
Don't watch as I do. Because I drive below the speed limit
Most of the time.
most of the time.
I see. I see. No.
Anywho.
Yes.
Which car are you going to let her drive?
A horse and buggy.
Okay. Are you going to let her back out of the driveway?
She's done that.
She has?
Yeah, just not out of the garage because, well, I don't want to go into this.
it's
I'll lose my marriage. But Hillary took out one of my mirrors in my
That's
garage.
right. I think that's
I
in
felt
one of
like I
our
was leading you to
episodes.
that a little bit.
Yes,
but
you
sorry,
were.
Hill.
What kind of friend? It was a
I
trap.
apologize.
It was a trap.
Hillary, that wasn't even my fault, honey. That was Chris who just basically ruined our marriage right here. So, speaking of, I don't know how that. There's no good transition.
Well,
but
I've got a good one.
You have a good transition?
Yeah, just go right in. Successful relationships are all about repairs.
Ooh, there's so many tie-ins here.
Okay, well, let's move on to something better.
Not just car repairs. Let's go.
Not just car repairs,
Okay.
but emotional repairs. So I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, you're kind of a hit on our show," and I said, "You're going to be here, so why don't you just do a podcast with us?" And this next season, we're talking to experts about things that matter and how do we actually join Jesus in our lives, in the real, crazy, difficult, mundane, all that stuff. So I said, Mom, what's something that's just been that you've seen because you're a therapist, by everybody, my mom is a therapist, and I get emails and messages from people all the time still, and I'm in Nashville, saying how much my mom has helped them in their lives and all that stuff. I said, what are you learning as you're hanging out with people? And this is one of the things you said. And I said, yes, we would love that. So do you want to go into it a little bit?
I'll just do a little preamble here.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not my material. This is from a book by Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas. The original book was The 5 Languages of Apology, but it's now been titled When Sorry Isn't Enough. So it's not my information. I have...
And he's the same guy. Gary's the guy who's done 5 love languages.
The 5 love languages.
Okay. Okay.
But I think this is really important information, and I use it a lot with people that I work with. So when he said, what would be good for relationships, I thought, well, gosh, this is really important, and I use it a lot. So just to sort of set it up, in marriage, we have 2 intelligent people who are going to differ about a number of things. Even if a husband and wife love each other, they're going to have different likes and dislikes, and you're going to have different ideas about what's appropriate and not appropriate, and differing ideas about priorities and responsibilities. Okay, friends, even good friends, see things differently, have different perspectives on things, values, and so forth. And in families with parents and children, they differ a lot because regarding what they think is right, the kids think is right, or what is acceptable to say or not to say, to do or not to do, and so forth. So in all of that, there are lots of opportunities to offend one another and hurt someone else's feelings or just misunderstand one another. So that's where repair comes in.
Okay, so what was your opening line?
Successful relationships are all about repair. Because we're going to offend or misunderstand or do something that disrupts the relationship. But if we can repair it, then we're on our way to even a deeper relationship. We're bound to repair relationships that are important to us often. So if we can get good at it and have effective repair, then we're going to have better and better relationships. And that's where families get in trouble, is when something happens and they don't know how to repair, they're afraid to repair, they don't repair well, we get a lumpy rug. And so everybody is constantly tripping over the lumpy rug. And they get to where many families, I've noticed, many families have so many lumpy rugs, they just keep pushing things down because they're afraid to confront. They're afraid to say, wait a minute, I didn't like that, or that hurt my feelings, or could you say that a different way, or do-over.
There's also the element of being tired of repairing.
Okay.
Like, there are times when, like in our marriage, we work really hard at repairing, or with my kids. But there are also times I'm like, I'm tired of the same repair over and over and over.
Yes.
Like it takes so much work, and I kind of get tired of that.
Are you tired of you doing the same thing or somebody else doing the same thing?
Probably somebody else doing the same thing and having to come up with the same conversation. Now, the same could be said about me on the other side of all these things, of course. But that was just something that hit me when you said that. That was just another.
Well, then that's the next step. If things are constantly offending, then there needs to be some change somewhere.
Yeah.
And we might get into the idea of forgiveness a little bit. We'll just see where we go with all this.
Let's go. This is going to be real.
Okay. So anyway, I have the cliff notes on the book, When Sorry Isn't Enough. And I'm going to be reading little blurbs about each of the 5 styles of apology. We found that there are 5 basic styles of apology. And I would like you to think about which 1 or 2 would be most or are most meaningful to you. Because we found that in the research that 75% of couples have different apology languages. So, if you apologize to your mate or to your friend and they go, not weak.
Yeah.
Or didn't get me, I'm not sure you're sincere. You probably didn't hit their apology language. But you might have used your own apology language, and you're thinking, I don't know what you want.
Right.
I said I'm sorry.
Right.
I did this or that. Nothing's good enough for you. Then we come up with that. Nothing I say is good enough for you, so let's not ever just deal with repair.
That's never happened, but I'm sure other people have that problem.
Oh, goodness.
So,
Lots to unpack.
so it helps to know what kind of apology is meaningful to you. And of course, what apology language is meaningful to your friend or to your mate. Then you know what's music to their ears. Otherwise, you're speaking another language and they're saying, I don't believe you.
Yep.
Right.
Or I don't hear
Yep.
you.
Yes.
So can you think of failed repair attempts? I'm sure you've had them. People have tried to say they're sorry and you go, don't think so.
I think she was looking at you, Moy. That's what I'm just staying quiet because I felt like she was staring at you.
I was looking at your guitars. I was dodging eye contact because I know
one is making
it's
eye
always
contact.
me, guys. It's always me. It's like the Lord's trying to just expose me.
I have one.
Okay.
So there's one in my life right now that my mom knows about. That
I'm sorry, Tim.
hey Chris, this is really a confrontation for you this whole time. His name
goodness.
rhymes with Riss.
I knew it.
But this person, I've really needed some apology from them. And it's been really like a veiled apology. It's been, if anything, it's just blaming other things. It's never really been taking ownership. It's this little quick ownership and then moving on to something else. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, the idea of this is that there are 5 different aspects to an apology. And some, if you can use all of 5, you're probably going to get to the person.
Ooh.
So that's why we're thinking of the 5 languages of apology. There are
Right.
5 aspects. So you want to learn your own apology language and the other person's apology language to make it easier for them to forgive genuinely and for you to receive
Yeah.
it genuinely.
So it's both sides.
Yes.
It's great.
So when you speak the right apology language, then to those you love, it deepens the relationship.
Right.
But when you don't, or you don't have an effective one, or you can't say, I don't think I get what you're saying, I don't think that doesn't speak to me. If you can have a conversation about that, then you can get somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. By the way, everybody, my mom, Carol, has provided us with some.
With some Mexican restaurant menus.
I'm
They're
sitting right here, guys.
Beautiful.
Right here.
No, it does. It's got that font.
It's the right colors.
I don't know, but I'll take the number 2.
I'll take
I
number
really
2.
like that. It's looking
Maybe that's
good.
what it was. Is it's like numbers
This-
and the colors all together.
I love it, Mom. It's so great. And we can we put this in our show notes? Some of this
Can you?
stuff?
Yes, yes.
that well,
yes.
if we don't get sued-
we have to give credit to Gary Chapman and
not.
Jennifer Thomas.
I'd rather us take it.
That guy saw him in an elevator once. It was-
Rary Ratman.
Well, you have to think about, if we're talking about the 5 languages of apology, what does an apology mean to you? What is an apology? What is an apology? What isn't an apology?
Yeah.
We want it to be an effective apology. People can give you, the first language is I'm sorry, but it goes into a little bit more than just I'm sorry. If you think about an apology is actually, somebody said, is birthed in the womb of regret.
Apology
Is birthed in the womb of regret. In other words, that's just fundamental to an apology. Is there any regret on the other person's part?
on the
Offender.
offender. Is there any regret?
Yes.
Got it. Yep.
Yes. We regret pain. The person who is the offender should be regretting pain that they caused, regretting disappointment in the other person, regretting inconvenience, regretting betrayal of trust. They might be regretting what they did or what they didn't do. They might regret how it affected the other person. But the offended person wants a realization of how deeply they have been hurt.
Gosh, that's so true. Okay.
I feel like that's almost the first roadblock we hit because there's so many times, I mean, gosh, I've been there, when like we don't hit, it's like, well, there's nothing I regret here.
Yes.
To like, I can say I'm sorry if you need it. And I feel like this is how a lot of apologies happen that don't go anywhere. I'm sorry that you were hurt. I'm sorry that, and you start like projecting these things, but you're not actually apologizing for something that you've done.
Yeah.
And And so actually that was an early lesson I had to learn in my marriage with Kinsey, is we figured out like how we spoke to each other. I was like, well, I don't even know what I did wrong on kind of, and she'd be like, well, you can see how I'm feeling. Can you at least be sorry about that? You know? And so that took me a while to figure out. It's like, okay, I actually can have remorse for the way that I've made you feel. But that was something I had to learn. I didn't.
Which is empathy.
Ooh, yeah.
And we generally need to learn true empathy. Sympathy is like standing at the top of a cliff looking down saying, sorry for you. Whereas empathy is down in the bottom of the cliff saying, this is horrible. I get it. This is really bad.
Man, I think I lacked that in my childhood. Apologies are like a weird thing for me. I didn't hear I'm sorry in my home. And I had a parent who took up all the space. And so I think to me, an apology is validation. Like you're validating that I'm hurt. I don't think I grew up with that. And it's been a lot on my mind actually lately, especially with the parent dynamic, because I ran into a mom that I think I upset years ago. And she sent me an awful email, like took my identity apart, destroyed me. And it like haunted me. But she defended it behind like a mother's righteous anger and her protecting her kids, which I totally understood. But at the time I felt like I once again was neglected by a parent who like has the power and authority to not have to say sorry. And so apologies to me are like just the simple I'm sorry heals a lot for me because I just did not hear it often. And if I think about, and I know we haven't gone into the different love languages, but just the first one already has me kind of weak because I'm sorry does a lot for me, a lot for me because my family and I are really close and we've moved on, but actions do not speak louder than words for me. Like words actually mean and do something to my soul.
Best is words and actions. That's the strongest. The first language here says experiencing regret. And the way you would say that is, I'm sorry. This definition of this is it acknowledges that the hurt your action caused the other shows remorse. Not I'm sorry if, but rather I'm sorry that my pride, my fear, my laziness, my anger hurt you and our relationship.
Wow.
Now, let me just go back. There are things that have hurt someone else that you think, you needed to be heard about that. In other words, you could say, I'm sad that what I said hurt you, but you may not be sorry that you said it. If someone called you a terrible name and you said, I don't think that's appropriate that you called me that name. And they say, well, apologize. And say, well, I'm sad that you feel a certain way, but not sorry that I said it because I needed to say. I needed to defend myself, or I needed to make clear something I really felt. So it's fair to say, I'm sorry if something I said. But if you're really apologizing, you're going to say, I'm sorry that.
That's great distinction.
So here's how it could be said. I'm truly sorry that I hurt you so deeply with my insensitivity. I never intended to, but now I see my words were out of line.
Yeah.
How does that sound to you? It would speak to you.
Yeah.
If somebody could say that.
It does because I feel acknowledged. Just the idea of, but now I see my words were out of line. I think in the situations I've been, I'm not acknowledged at all. And so they're not seeing me. And so their apology, I can tell, is for themselves, like to defend themselves or clean their name. And so I have never heard something like this said to me in my experience with my family.
As we're diving into these, do you see an order that some of these come in? Or are they ordered in an order that they may typically come in?
I did not make the order, and I don't know that I would make an order. I guess I would put this one as primary.
Yeah,
because just that
You
quote
have
there
to be able
about
to acknowledge it.
it's birthed in the womb of regret, and this one is regret.
Yeah.
So without someone regretting, you can see one of the other languages is making amends. If somebody just wants to make amends, I'm sorry, that doesn't.
Yeah.
Don't give me a gift. Tell me you
Yeah.
did something wrong.
Right.
I'll take your gift.
Right.
But the gift or the language of restitution and amends doesn't really connect. I need regret first.
Yes.
So maybe there
Yes.
is at least that order.
Some sort of order. And so if one person is not willing to or not experiencing any sort of regret, then you're kind of stuck in the water. Is that a saying? I don't know.
Well-
Drowning, maybe drowning, or
but whatever.
wet in
You're
the
not
water.
moving.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
a little damp and you're
Swimming
not
in the
going
water.
anywhere.
Yeah, the current took you.
drifting.
So bad at those.
Me too.
Wiped out.
I'm experiencing immediate regret. And I apologize.
That's not if, but that. So I just jumping on this. So I'm looking at I'm sorry if, but rather I'm sorry that. So to say I'm sorry if what I said hurt you, is that still a thing?
It's really should be I'm sad. I'm sad because you are sad.
Yeah.
But you're not saying sorry
Right.
because you're
Right.
really
That's
not
a
sorry.
great distinction.
Right.
Yeah. Where does like gaslighting and things like that come into there? Because I could see like, I'm sorry that you were hurt by this. I'm sorry. But you're really trying to like, when I think of those and the instances that I've been a part of those are like quick fixes to get out of a situation and not really, or trying to flip a scenario. Because I feel like that happens a lot in apologies.
That's right.
I'm sorry. And then it turns into, but you did all this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you were hurt by this, but I was so busy and so tired, I wasn't really responsible for my behavior. What?
Yeah.
That's not an apology.
So should the next word after I'm sorry that be I instead of you? Because you could almost get around the if part. 'Cause you could say I'm sorry that you blank.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that I
Did whatever I did.
this.
What you could even say it right. I'm sorry that I hurt you with my insensitivity. But you don't then erase it by
Right.
saying, but you don't understand what was going on for me.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
We need to learn how to let it go.
absolutely. Just, you've said it, shut up.
Yeah. We don't talk like that here, Mom, at this house.
Timothy Howard Timmons.
Sorry, dear.
We say shut the front door. That's what we say here. So we're doing great.
Wow.
Okay. One quote I brought, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable.
Wow.
Read that one more
I will
time.
read it again. Being heard, feeling heard, is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. David Augsburger said that. I think it's a great quote. Okay, so that's number one. Language number one.
I know. I'm
wanna
over
get
here
tacos?
like, anybody got tissues? I just need them on the side of the table. I just want to
All
look at
right,
them.
everybody, here we go. Number 2. Language.
Number 2.
Number 2, language number 2 is accepting responsibility. And the way you would say that is, I was wrong. This one,
Man.
sighs on the side here.
Yep.
This names the mistaken action and takes responsibility for it. Now, it's easier to say, you're right, but I was wrong carries more weight.
Right.
And this is how it could be said. I made a big mistake. I didn't think about what I was doing, but that was precisely the problem. I should have thought before I acted. I think every family should teach their children these phrases, these words, so that it's not foreign to their ears.
Right.
And you can say to a child, I wasn't thinking, and I did something. You're right, I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
And have it be, okay, that's normal conversation around here, instead of,
Yes.
so accepting responsibility.
This is so interesting. I think my family is kind of like yours, and where there wasn't like a lot of apology got thrown around. We had some like heavy issues that are still like, God, I wish he'd just say he was sorry. Said he did just everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like own it, and so many times. And so now I think I've gone like, last night and this morning I apologized to 2 kids. And I might be apologizing for more, so although I am kind of like, I can be a jerk dad, I feel like sometimes, and I'm doing my best, but I got like angry at 2 kids last night and this morning. We took like a quick trip and it's just all the dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And then my son somehow flooded the bathroom downstairs this
Oh,
morning. I'm like, what did you put down the toilet? I'm like full dad mode, poop water all over the floor. And my 5-year-old, I swear I didn't do it. And so like, I take a beat and I'm like, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you, And so I try to come back around and when I can like get sober in myself and make those apologies, maybe because they didn't happen, for us, and still haven't happened in like meaningful ways, even as adults. I was wrong. That one's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So are all these going to be, Mom, like, I'm sorry, one, I was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, could they almost be a sentence? I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
No, that's a good question. Well, look at the tip at the very end. When you don't know someone's apology language, make the effort to cover all the bases. You'll be likely to hit on something that will be music to their ears. And then it says a sincere apology is a precious gift. It really is. Yeah. So think of it this way. These are the 5 aspects of an apology. Okay. Mm-hmm. Most people are fine if you hit their first 2. You hit the first 2 that are really meaningful. They're like, okay, enough. You don't have to do everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if it's a real deep issue, these are the 5 aspects. So if you want to cover them, that's why this is, I think, good, because if you say 3 of them and people aren't getting it, okay, add another one.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Is that
totally
what you're saying?
Totally.
I think we've hit my first 2 already.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, my cousins and I talk about it all the time. We saw our parents and uncles and aunts just miss holidays because of a lack of apologies. Just not allowed to really see that one cousin for a minute until they get, they repair. And we just have tried so hard to not be that. But it's hard when it's like, we still have our own baggage with our parents.
Yeah.
I think the first time I heard my mom apologize was maybe 5 years ago. And I was deciding to move here. And then she was like, I don't know what I ever did that you don't want to move home, but I'm sorry. And I was like, I don't even know either, but I think it's like many sorries in one, thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just foreign, I think. Mm-hmm. Especially, I don't know if it also has to do with an immigrant family and just like, my parents having to do so much that you almost don't expect sorries because they're putting their life on the line for you, and
they've got everything going.
So you just like there should be expected like some slack in every area for them. Mm-hmm. I don't know, just stuff. But I think these 2 truly are my 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What a lot of families, like you're talking about, seem to do is if there's an offense, some aunt or uncle said something or was critical of somebody in the family, and then they don't speak for however long, a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. And then someone just sends a birthday card or says, I miss you. And then they start calling again. And then the whole issue's lost.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Until
and they just, so that's how some families operate, is you just wait a certain amount of time and then you sort of worm your way back in with something, or, it's the 4th of July, we're having a party, do you want to come? And
yes.
da-da-da-da-da.
Yes, that's my experience.
I feel like I'm too stubborn. And if I want to throw family drama out here, I haven't talked to my brother in 5 years, probably. And I won't dive into all of it, but it's very much like we've never gotten to an I was wrong or an I'm sorry. We've actually had a conversation where we like talked about a bunch of things, and I was kind of like, hey, here's like, I like put some boundaries up, I think. And it was like, hey, if we're going to have a relationship, these are kind of the things that I'd like to see. And since then, we haven't spoken in maybe another 3 years or something. But he's very good at, and I don't want to do this on like a podcast, but, and we have a history in the family, so I'm not going to put it all on him, of like, just show up and pretend like everything's good. And I can't. I just can't do it. And so, after years and years of doing that, like, I don't want to walk into a room and have unresolved issues. I'd just rather not be there. And so, I don't even know where that's going. Maybe you can give me some therapy after this. But I think there's probably a lot of people in a similar scenario, you know,
there are.
where it's like, I'd like to have relationship. I would like to be there, but I feel like I'm the only one participating. And so then what?
The goal is to keep short accounts. You know, when you're reconciling your checkbook, that's an old term, but when you're keeping things up to date, then if you're keeping short accounts, then what you said last week or 3 weeks ago or something, but when it gets to be 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, so many other things have gone under the bridge that now whatever was the original offense is so big. Well, you know, you never sent birthday cards. Well, we never got a Christmas card.
Right.
Well, you know, when so-and-so died, you didn't even let us know. Oh my gosh, now we got so many things that their repairs far away because there were so many things now that have to be addressed.
That's how it feels for us. Like I think about my kids and I'm like, well, my kids don't know you. Which, you know, which is crazy.
Totally.
And
How about
so,
your brother?
Yeah. And so we get like this person who was, I mean, the closest friend that I ever had to now like, well, my kids don't even know who you are. And so it feels like an insurmountable mountain
That's the
to
problem.
climb. Yeah. But maybe it could be because I still feel like 1 and 2 could get me really far down the road.
Yeah.
Really probably like healthy behavior on the other end of it.
Well, it's fair to draw boundaries.
Yeah.
You're saying you drew boundaries. It's fair to draw boundaries. And if someone cannot meet you in the middle of your boundary, you can't even negotiate a boundary,
Yeah.
then sometimes there are disruptions in relationships and it has to be. It's not that you have to keep every relationship you've ever had.
Yeah.
It's just sad when it's a family thing because you will always be family.
Yeah.
And so if there's any way you can even come to a meeting of the minds of we disagree on this, and this, but we can agree to do this.
And is that grace? I think about sometimes the difference between getting stuck in a mindset where we feel like we need to give grace, but we're not giving grace, we're giving slack, or we're letting something happen again, but we're not truly, like grace isn't partnered with something afterwards to continue to repair. I think sometimes, like I think I grew up watching my family members give each other grace, but really it was like I'm going to let you get away with it this time because it wasn't that bad, but I kind of have a record of it on the side. And that's not really grace. So I think, is that somehow like a rethinking of grace also partnered with a rethinking of how to apologize to people? I'm
not sure I can really answer your question there. The principle is that we don't want to lose ourselves. So if two people disagree, the best thing is for one person to say, I really don't agree with you, but I'd like to go on with other relationships, other things between us. But if we can just understand we don't agree.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have the idea that intimacy or closeness should mean total agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
And that if we don't agree, we can't,
Right.
we can't really even have
We've seen
Thanksgiving.
that. I mean, the last couple of years have been insane.
That's right.
Yeah.
How many friendships have we lost over the pandemic and
Yes.
over silly things?
That's right.
Jeez. Yeah.
Agree to disagree. And make it clear so you don't lose yourself. That's my point with you.
Yes.
You don't want to lose yourself. This is really important to me. And I see you see it this way. Okay, I get it. Now, can we talk about these things over here?
Okay, everybody, that is the first episode of these 2 episodes on apologizing. Thanks for listening so far, and we'd love to know your thoughts. So please go to the Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Or any of the social medias.
Heard of that.
Instagram, we are 10K minutes.
Yep, and you can find our socials down below.
Yeah, in the show notes, what we like to call the show notes.
Yeah.
It's industry lingo.
So, people, we went through languages 1 and 2. By the way, 3 through 5 is pretty radical.
Get ready.
Yes.
So, just, in a second, you can just move on to that because it's so good.
So good.
But, any thoughts for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have we heard be the bigger person and apologize?
Yeah.
And it was so good to hear Carol explain how apologizing is not about doing the right thing or being the bigger person. It's about acknowledging that pain is being experienced by someone else. And you were probably the source of that pain, if not the starter of that pain. And so apologizing and the idea that it comes out of true remorse is a game changer.
Yeah.
Instead of a thing we check off because Jesus would. So that's a thing I think I'm excited to kind of unpack in my own world and in the ways I apologize or receive apology, and hope and look for the remorse in that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much intentionality in this, which really has been just kind of a vague thing that we just do. We just say, I'm sorry, or I said I'm sorry. I mean, my kids do this all the time. Like, I said I'm sorry.
Right.
Gosh, nope. There's zero. It's just a thrown out word.
Right.
But I do the same thing.
Right.
I might disguise it more. But there's just such a rethinking of our intentionality in my apologizing. And then how I receive those apologies too, which we're going to get into in the second half.
Yeah, and I think there's an ownership aspect to apology that sometimes we miss. It's like we want to get to the resolution, and we still have more steps after these 2,
right,
but we want to get to where
Chris.
things are good again. But it's so important that we even understand like what the offense was, that we understand and have like some remorse for that.
Yep.
And like actually feel it. So then we can lead into these other steps that we're going to get to. If we don't understand the harm and we can't take responsibility for it, then we
experiencing
can't,
regret.
then we can't move on to those next steps.
Yes. Good.
Chris, that is so true. That is so true. So really, we have a practice this week, which is we're going to be rethinking apologizing.
Yep.
So rethink your apologies and how you're actually coming to it. So it's not just a one and done quick thing, but really it's like it's going to take time. Like this is not something that just. I think when I think of apologies, I think of it as I do it and we're done.
Yeah.
Versus this is just as intentional, and it's going to be some time and space and work to do this.
Yes.
But in the end, it's actually going to get us somewhere versus the other kind of apologizing that doesn't.
Right.
So in your relationships this week, whoever you are, wherever you are, let's rethink apologizing, even if it's in the smallest way. Even if it's you cut somebody off on the road, or if it's a family member or somebody at work or whatever.
Or someone in your past.
Or someone in your past. Yeah.
Or someone you don't have an ability to reconnect with.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many ways you can practice rethinking apologizing.
Yes. So that's our practice this week. Let's just be aware of it this week. And then next week, we'll jump into the next 3. Or if you're binging, you will do that in a few minutes. But I think this would be powerful. And this is how we actually join Jesus, is by doing some of this hard work that will actually produce beautiful fruit on the other side. So thank you for being part of 10,000 Minutes. Always go to 10,000minutes.com and check out the different resources we have there for you. And we're thankful for you.
Yes, like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much. And more importantly, comment. We want to know how it's going for you.
Yes, please comment if you love it. Only.
They can comment if they don't like it.
That's
It helps
so
the
true.
algorithm.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what?
Well,
say terrible things.
Just don't rate us if you don't like us. You know what I mean?
Okay, don't rate us.
Yeah.
Just say comments.
Yeah, just comment.
Multiple
we would
comments.
love to hear all the ways you don't like us.
Yeah.
But don't rate us if you don't like us.
Tim's baldness is really annoying me.
you know.
Yeah, but hide it under a 5 out of 5 stars.
It's gonna be great.
Yes. I thought you were saying hide it like my baldness under
Okay.
a bushel. No. I'm
Okay.
going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Okay. Bye, you guys. See you next week.